Yo, imagine if that was, like, someone's kid. Like, whew, that would be bad. Anyways, though, yeah, the Bears are up today. Their schedule sucks. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Please like and subscribe. Hope y'all are ready for the Chicago Bears 2026 roster. We'll be going through their entire thing. They made some pretty damn big moves this offseason. Again, this is a team last year that won 11 games. Probably should have won 12, 13 even. But as you guys saw, crazy end of their season versus the Rams. Caleb Williams probably made one of the craziest throws we've ever seen, and they ended up losing and all that. Again, the big conversation, though, was about this, which you already talked about. It's absolutely brutal. It's not as bad, I think, as some people are saying it out to be. But yeah, and again, if you have not watched previous roster grades, we've already gone through the Packers. So again, if you're a big-time Packers hater, which most Bears fans are, let's be honest, y'all, you guys are. Again, go back to that 2018 season. I mean, like, you guys were pissed in 2019, especially to start the season. It's crazy, guys. That was 7 years ago, and, like, we're almost to the start of the season. So, like, holy crap. But anyways, about that. Go ahead, watch the Packers one, but the Jags won the first one we did. Again, second time stamp there, that'll give you everything you need to know. But again, if you've been watching the whole series, you probably are like, I've heard this 1,000 times. So yeah, as y'all know, we do start out with the quarterback position, which is a pretty bizarre group. Give me a sec. Alright, that's all tidied up. Anyways, that's what we have there, and then everything else will follow. Again, it's a football team. It's not that complicated. Well, unless you make it complicated. Anyways, yes, we'll get into this quarterback room. First off, Miller Moss. He's a dude. He was Lincoln Riley's hand-picked guy. No, he wasn't. They needed someone after Caleb left. He kind of sucked in 2024. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I mean, again, it's really against good teams he did. Last year at Louisville, I think Louisville, my bad. He passed the ball downfield like 5 times the entire season. Other than that, it was kind of a run-centric offense. He really wasn't that bad at all. Just to be honest, guys, he doesn't have the arm talent to really stick in the NFL. And also, his progressions have never really been that great. So that's my opinion on him. I just don't think he's talented enough. But hey, maybe he beats out Case Keenum for the third-string spot. But obviously, won't touch Tyson Bagent or Caleb Williams. Case Keenum, though, he's a third-stringer. Case Keenum is 38 now, guys. He's on the tail end of his career. He hasn't played an NFL game since 2023. He hasn't really been at least somewhat of a full-time starter since 2019 when he, again, basically was in a timeshare with Dwayne Haskins. RIP to him, bro. Absolutely tragic thing what happened with him. But back to this. Again, he was back up in 2020. Again, this is kind of his pattern. 2020 through 2023 was basically just a backup. Again, 2021, he did start a couple games, and he was pretty good. He was better than Baker Mayfield, which is kind of hilarious. And then 2022, Bills back up, and then obviously 2023, he kind of stunk in his 2 starts. I think one game he won. I think that was against who was that against? The freaking Titans, maybe? That game was wild. But, yeah, he hasn't played. He's been lurking the past year. So, keep that in mind with him. He's probably, bottom guy on the roster. But, yeah, he's obviously been around a while. He has the most yards in college football history. He's a legend. Then we have Tyson Bagent. He's got an absolute freaking, can for an arm. He started, 4 games back in 2023, earned himself a really nice contract, which he was very appreciative over. And again, I think when you really look at a guy like this, again, most people don't know who the hell this guy is, but again, if you think about a guy you'd want to meet, a guy who you'd want to be behind, it would be Tyson Bagent, bro. He's a really good dude. From what I've heard in his character, I mean, again, I obviously met him, so I can't tell you that for sure, but from what I've seen, this dude he's something else in terms of his character. Great job, Tyson. But again, I couldn't tell you, again, much else, but still, he's a good dude. He's got a cannon for an arm. All you really want when you're back quarterback. Then we got Caleb Williams, who I completely flamed on last year after an atrocious rookie season, which he did deserve, guys. He literally was awful. Last year, I mean, again, was it better? Yes, for sure. As they say, the highs are high and the lows are very low for drug addicts. He's not a drug addict, but again, if you're a Caleb Williams fiend, you might as well be, because his lows, I'm not going to say are that low. They're not like Big Tony low, but they're still low. But again, he made some insane plays last year. Caleb Williams is probably the highest ceiling out of any quarterback in the NFL at this point in terms of what we know about him. But the fact that he still can't really read into defense effectively, and this offense still really doesn't have a true identity, is an issue. If Caleb can, harness some of that consistency and kind of the bizarreness that goes on in his head and turns it into effective, consistent plays, and then at the same time, keep all that crazy stuff at least most of it. There's really no reason he can't be a top 5 quarterback in the league, guys. Let's be honest. The ceiling is high as sky for Caleb. Last year, like I think he forgot his head in college. But yeah, not last year, 2 years ago. But this year, I'm not gonna lie, guys. He made again. You can't ignore the fact that he's just that talented. And it's not like I think at some point I'm like, yeah, this is just how he's gonna be, and it's gonna be fun to watch. And I don't really care because I'm not a Bears fan. But anyways, great for the pick, bro. I love Caleb. If he was betting on that Rams game last year, love that. But anyways, yeah, the highs are so high for him. I'm gonna give him an A-. I would want to give him a B+ because of how again inconsistent he is for most of the time. But again, it's just there's not really probably like 6 or 7 guys that even have like close to the same ceiling as Caleb. And just with that being like again a huge factor there, it's just something I can't ignore. So that's why it's gonna be 50 points for Caleb Williams. And now let's move into these skills positions. Which is it better than last year? We'll start out running back here for the Bears, and it's not really the most awe-inspiring group right now. Again, their 4th guy is Britton Brown, who did have a touchdown last year. Don't forget about that against the Bengals in that game. Oh my! Why did I do the Bengals first, bro? That's so cooked. But yeah, he had a touchdown that game. Roschon Johnson, he was a touchdown merchant back in 2024. Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns. I kind of forgot he was on the team in 2023. He's slow though, and yeah, that's basically about it I have on him. Again, he's coming out of Texas. He's not a guy that I'm really too fond of watching. I guess he can be a good downhill runner, but not really. Kyle Monangai is basically him, but breaks a lot more tackles and is a lot more explosive. And even Kyle Monangai is not a guy that I really think is going to be carrying the load for your offense. He was really good last year, again as a rookie, but the fact that he still doesn't really have true kind of consistent vision as well as instincts in the backfield. Those 2 things are still developing, but again, he's a bowling ball and he's the best running back on this team. DeAndre Swift has had a precipitous drop in terms of his actual effectiveness on the field really ever since he left Philly, which is a year that a lot of people are kind of forget about. Kind of a niche thing overall. Last year his numbers were pretty good, but I still don't think he was as effective as he was in 2024, and he kind of sucked in 2024. As a receiver, he was pretty god-awful last year. He just really didn't run any routes, at all. And again, you look at him as pass blocker, it's just a huge negative. I like the fact that last year he at least was a lot more explosive in some instances. Again, the numbers wouldn't tell you that, but at least in terms of his longest run. But he did break a couple more longer runs. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys. He's just not a guy that I really see as a, high ceiling back for your team. And really, again, he's kind of like a low tier RB1 to, I guess, a good RB2. This running back situation for me, that was going to be a B-. I just don't think, again, Kyle Monangai is really a number 1 guy either. You got 2 guys. Again, there's good depth here. It's just the fact that I don't really think... Again, they're going to have a good running game. Like last year, I think they were, they ranked top 5, top 10. It's somewhere around there. But it's still not a group that I'm really, super overzealous about. So 21 points there. Now we go into this wide receiver core, which is not awesome. Rome Odunze is going to be the number 1. He was supposed to last year. He got off to a really hot start of the season. The Detroit game, he was good. Obviously, that was garbage time. But after that, it was kind of a really inconsistent run. That Bengals game was brutal for him, which is kind of insane because they scored 47 points. But other than that, guys, Rome Odunze is a guy that still has, he definitely still has that ceiling you look for. His route running really, honestly, hasn't really fallen off, the trajectory where you want it to be. It's just the fact that he's not really transitioning some of these... wins on the route to, again, kind of where Caleb wants the ball to be. Him and Caleb haven't really gotten on the same page quite yet. And also, again, in terms of his, floor production, in terms of, his underneath stuff, still hasn't really translated there, which is kind of what the hell is going on. But, yeah, Rome, again, despite him being their number 1 guy, it's just, again, he hasn't really put anything together yet. So until that happens, you got to be who knows? But again, he was one of the best receivers we've seen coming out of the draft the past, 6 years. So, cool. Luther Burden, other than that bomb he caught versus the Cowboys, and I guess some other big run after catch plays, he really wasn't great last year just because of the fact that he is going to be a drag route and a slant merchant on a lot of different plays. And unless he can really diversify his release package, there's really no sort of, role for him as an X. Again, you obviously have Rome Odunze, so you're not going to need him there. But there's certain times where Rome Odunze is going to get doubled. You want him as a Z, and Luther Burden's going to have to play the X there, and he just won't be able to. And there's really another guy in this receiving core that I want to either. So Luther Burden, again, is really just screaming. He needs more versatility on top of the fact that, again, I don't think he's ever going to be a guy you look at as a true downfield threat who's going to be a legit, and I mean a legit guy on back shoulder catches. And until there's anything else that really screams out with him, is he really even a reliable two? Not really. Then they have Khalif Raymond, who really hasn't had a main role in an offense for a couple of years now. Again, he's been in Detroit every year since 2020. Where again, 2021 he was literally the wide receiver 1, and I guess 2022 he put up big numbers too. But he's always been a good role player for them. Again, he was their wide receiver 3 the past couple of years. He's a good yak guy. He still has really good speed, and I still think that his post route is among the best routes for wide receiver 3s in the NFL, which is a good thing for him. So honestly, he's not a bad guy to have there. But again, in terms of jump ball, where Caleb's gonna want to put the ball with him, it's probably not gonna be a good idea. On top of the fact that he does usually get out muscle in the end zone. Xavier Thomas, 3rd round pick at LSU. He is not even close to a 3rd round talent, guys. He's like the complete opposite or Brian Thomas in terms of talent. Again, he just doesn't get open really to the level where you need him to. And even though he can be a jump ball guy sometimes, there's just not really, again, much going to happen there if he really has never been able to stack a cornerback. So, despite him being a guy that, is going to be a good possession dude, he can beat you deep if you, as a cornerback, have crappy leverage. He can capitalize on that. But again, it's hard for him to really be able to do that in the NFL and kind of projecting that. And for that reason, again, he's just not a guy I'm really that confident in at all. Then you have Johnny Walker, who's an absolute chud, and then you also have Scotty Miller, who's been around the block. For me, guys, his receiving core is just not very good. I'm gonna give it a C. That might be a little bit harsh. It might be a little bit nice. I mean, guys, Ron Romanzuzzi hasn't really proven himself again, like I said, at all yet. Luther Burns, a guy that I think could be a number 2 in the future if, again, he can really, become more, well-rounded. And then Cleveland Raymond, he is a number 3, which, again, probably the only certainty of this offense. And then a bunch of chuds. So, like, what am I going to do? 15 points there. And then if we move to this tight end position, again, it's a lot better, thank God. Colston Loveland, at some point in his career, will be an all-pro. He had a monster rookie season in a lot of ways. Obviously, that 58-yard game winner was the highlight of his season. His blocking, while still pretty lousy and kind of disappointing, coming out of Michigan with really good technique. He wasn't exactly, again, at least his process, I'll say that, really wasn't bad. It was just, again, the results we saw out of him. So if that can become more of a consistency for him in terms of blocking, that would be huge. In terms of his receiving, again, just him being a little bit less over-reliant over the middle and maybe becoming a little bit more of a guy you can kind of have swing out or maybe even run around upfield a little bit more, kind of challenging the boundary. That'll really help a guy like Rome Odunze be able to open up the middle of the field when he does get double teamed. Then you have Cole Kmet, who's a great tight end too. Is he tight end 1? I mean, obviously those couple years, again, where he was basically their, again, only reliable target, really 21 through 2023, again, I guess. But his role is a lot more defined now than it was those years, so I think the fact that you get that is a lot more consistent. Cole Kmet and a much more better role in this offense as well. Sam Roosh, a really fun guy. He's, again, going to be their big-time blocker. The biggest thing with him is if he's on the field, can he be a threat enough downfield where he can still be respected enough? If that's an issue, it's like, again, kind of like what's going on there. But again, for 13 personnel, they have a really good group. For me, I'm going to give this tight end room a B+. Really, the only thing, my bad, the only reason it's not A tier is because Colston Loveland hasn't put that all together yet. But I mean, after that, again, it's a really good top 3, guys. I want to give them that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say 18 points for the tight end position, and now the offensive line will determine what the overall grade is for this offense. Alright, guys, now going into this offensive line, it was a group last year that, at least run blocking wise, was one of the best in football, if not the best. They brought in Ozzy Trapilio out of, no, they didn't. He was here last year, and he was pretty goddamn gross. What the hell am I talking about? There we go. But he was gross last year. A lot of his successes came on the fact that as a run blocker, he basically just got in the way, which, I mean, it sounds pretty stupid, but he literally got in the way when he set the edge. And then, again, in pass protection, a lot of his success was predicated on him being able to kick out quick enough and kind of just basically, quick jabs and kind of redirecting the power of some of these speed rushers, which is kind of inadvertently, outrageous when you think about it. Like, it's kind of counteractive, like a speed guy. It doesn't matter. Ozzy Trapilio, his process was really good last year. Is it sustainable? I don't really know because, again, if he gets beat to the inside, again, a guy like Caleb Williams is just going to take 8 sacks. So, Ozzy, despite him being way better than Braxton Jones on a consistency level, he's still not a guy that I really think, at least coming into this season, again, will be a complete, yeah, this guy's awesome. Braxton Jones got benched because he sucks. The biggest thing with Braxton Jones is he could never really anchor really at the right timing, on top of the fact that his first punch was always ineffective. As a run blocker, he's definitely better than Ozzy Trapilio. But for me, Braxton's just not a guy that I really think is a starter right now. At Jedrick Wills, I don't even know what happened to him. Again, awesome, decent rookie year, injury-riddled second year, but he was still better than his rookie year, and then ever since he kind of had, like I said, a precipitous drop in production. So with that happening there, it's kind of hard for me to see Jedrick Wills as, again, a guy you're really I guess, bro. But obviously, he has been a starter in the past. He has been a good player in the past, or at least average. Joe Tooney's the best left guard in football. It's not even really close. He was literally probably the best offensive lineman last year. I mean, there's no other way for me to put it. I'd like to say, again, go through everything he does, but there's really no point. He's just that good. Jordan McFadden. This is a guy at Clemson who, I'm not going to lie, guys, I've probably seen 15 snaps at since he came in the league. He didn't really play with the Chargers. I know he is a pretty impactful dude, though, because there were some plays with him at the Shrine Bowl where I'm like, what the hell is going on? It might not have been him. I don't know, guys. He's gotten very little exposure to me. Garrett Bradbury, I guess he's a good center. He's been around a while. Again, his years in Minnesota were honestly really fun to watch. Last year with the Patriots, kind of mediocre, though, to be honest. Again, he also got traded, too, so keep that in mind. But for me, No, he didn't get traded. He got freaking signed by the Patriots. All I only know is he's a good player. It's just the fact that I think he's a little bit over-reliant on his athleticism sometimes to be able to, anchor and, withstand some of these really, again, twitchy guys in the interior. But at the same time, I mean, he's still a guy that you're going to get consistent play out of. Logan Jones could be their starter in the future. I like this kind of process here. He's out of Iowa. He's a very good run blocker, as most Iowa offensive linemen are. The biggest thing with him, though, is can he get that anchoring technique down in terms of him being able to really, again, get into the not armpits, but the kitchen of these defensive tackles, or really nose tackles, because when that happens, there's really nothing they can do, because he's not a guy you want to see punch, per se. You want him to be able to get into the kitchen, because when that happens, his arms are so strong that you can't really do anything in terms of cross-chopping on him, which is a huge advantage for him, but it's still something that he really has a long way to go to really being able to master that. Jonah Jackson, surprisingly, wasn't atrocious last year after a disastrous year in LA. He got traded for a second-round pick, obviously, but again, you look at Jonah Jackson, you're like, he honestly wasn't too bad last year. I'm not going to say he was as good as his 2022 seasons, 2023 seasons. Again, those both had injuries in them. But, again, he's a guy who's going to be an injury risk. But when he was on the field last year, really wasn't that bad as a run blocker. Honestly, pretty good. Luke Newman, yeah, no. Please, bro. Don't let him play. The Darnell Wright's turning into a really freaking good right tackle. Obviously, my bad for not including him in the scouting report back in that 2022 draft. Or 23 draft, my bad. I'm just not on my game with him. But, yes. Darnell Wright is a very good tackle. And also Theo Benedict, who I guess is just there. Yeah. This depth is a bunch of nobodies and, again, experience, nobodies, and then Logan Jones, who's the only real sure thing there. The actual offensive line is pretty damn good. You got one of the best players in football. You got a really good right tackle, a guy at left tackle who could be really good. Jonah Jackson's probably netting the average, and then Garrett Bradbury's a little bit of average. For me, this is definitely a B+ offensive line. I want to put it in the A tier, but you really can't just because of the fact that there's definitely a little bit of unknowns in there. So B+ for me, this offensive line is very good. That's going to be 18 points right there. If we add it up to the entire offense, 50, 21, 15, 18, and 18, that'll give them 122 points for this offense. That will put them in the B tier, which is where this offense belongs. It's, again, a good group overall. There's really no superstar, honestly, across the board outside of Joe Thuney, which isn't a bad thing, but, again, still a run-runner group. And I just think, again, if these receivers can step up in Burden and Odunze, again, you don't have more anymore, again, obviously. But, again, if those two guys can step up, there's really no reason this offense can't be, even as good as they were last year in a lot of ways. But we'll see. That schedule's tough. Time for this defense. All right, maybe we're hitting a good run here. Another 4-3 defense. Let's go. But anyways, yes, we are starting out with this front seven for this defense, and then we'll talk about some other cool things. But yes, this defense, at least at linebacker, is not looking too hot. Devin Bush last year saved his career in Seattle. He low-key, at least statistically, had his best year of his career. What am I talking? Why did I say Seattle? Cleveland. Sorry, guys. He low-key had the best year of his career. I'm actually shocked. I kind of don't remember having 2 pick sixes, but I mean, again, like I said, I guess, bro. But yes, for Devin Bush, again, low-key had the best year of his career last year. I think he missed, it was crazy low. Again, he's never been a consistent tackler, but, last year it was he might have actually, you could honestly call him consistent. That's what he did. But he, again, consistently filtered through not run blocks. I don't even know how to describe it. He didn't really take on any blocks last year. He just found his way through them and made plays. Again, like I said, Devin Bush just had the best year of his career. He's a guy in the past, even coming out, where you're like, this guy is just, he could be something, but then he obviously sucked in Pittsburgh. It was a big disappointment, and then kind of almost didn't make it in the league anymore, and then, he's been better and better, and he was really good last year. So I'm excited to see if Devin Bush can, kind of a late career revival. Not really late career, but career comeback again, because he was drafted back in 2019. Again, he's 27, though, which is pretty crazy. Good thing, though, he's actually turned into something. Ruben Hypolite, again, he was supposed to start for this team. That would have been scary. He simply just can't cover. And also, when he is in coverage and he needs to, make a tackle in the open field, that's not going to happen either. And I mean, you just look at a linebacker, again, outside of, I guess, him being a body in a run fit, I mean, there's really not much else to say there, guys. He's just not very good. Nafai Sewell, I guess, bro, he's there. T.J. Edwards is starting middle linebacker. He's really the last guy that can hit that big three. Him, Sanborn, and not really a big three. Him, Sanborn, and freaking Edmonds, who's now on the Giants. But for you look at Edwards, last year got injured, but honestly that was his best year. Biggest thing with T.J. Edwards is he's slow, but he's got really good anticipation, and a lot of his successes come when the quarterback second guesses his throw. When that happens, he always comes in the lane, knocks the pass down. Against the run, he's a guy that really is good at diagnosing certain leverage patterns of an offensive lineman. And once he sees that pattern or tendency, depending on the guy you look at, he always targets that and always is able to get the inside and be able to get to the running back, or at least divert again the lane or the gap that the running back is going to want to go to. So those sort of just kind of nuanced details with him is something that again is hard to find in a lot of starting linebackers. That's why he's their main guy, even though he might be limited in some other areas. Noah Sewell, again, out of Oregon, he had a crazy 2022 season, was awful in 2023, finally got a chance to play last year, and overall was pretty good. I'm still not a big fan of him because of the fact that, again, he literally, again, he should have been a first-round pick after that 2022 season, stunk 2023. Again, finally saw something of what we wanted to last year. The biggest thing, though, is the fact that he isn't he's not an effective playmaker, which makes him a guy you really have to stress on, him being very consistent with tackling, very consistent in zone coverage, which weren't, again, big-time themes of his season last year. So that's kind of got to become a theme if you want to, have a chance to play a lot on this team this year. DeMarco Jackson's their starter sub-linebacker. He's not really going to get on the field that much. He has literally no blitzing impact, and with that kind of being something that you'd expect him to be able to do, it's kind of like what's going on here. But he is at least good enough in coverage where you can put him out there, but I don't really expect him to be out there a lot. And then Jack Sanborn is kind of just, ever since he got injured, he's kind of just completely sucked. Not going to lie to y'all, again, 2024 is a really good example. Again, last year with the Cowboys is probably the best one. Again, he left, and then he's back here. Jack Sanborn, guys, he's just not, again, a guy you look at. He never really was athletic. You're just like, this guy's a football player. But again, you look at him as a player right now, it's just like, it's not looking hot. They have good depth, though, overall. Like, there's definitely some experience here. But for me, this linebacking core is going to get a B- with, again, like, yeesh depth. Because, again, Devin Bush was like a top 10 linebacker in football last year. TJ Edwards was, again, he's a solid player. And then DeMarco Jackson, I guess, is going on there. But, like, the depth is just kind of concerning me, despite there being experience there. So, B-, I'd want to give it a B. I think, honestly, I have to give it a B. I just have to. But it's definitely a group that you probably would be a little bit more concerned on for the average B-graded. It's not like, again, it's consistency. It's just the kind of the ceiling you get with that. Now for the D-line and see how they project his pass rush. Speaking of pass rush, you're not going to get an ounce of pass rush out of these linebackers or blitzing capabilities. Back to this D-line now. Again, it's basically the same as always. Again, you have again an interior that has pass rush threats and at least stabilizing run fitters. And then you look at these edge rushers and you're like, there's no depth. Grady Jarrett. This is a guy I'm kind of shocked with Stone Lee. I was like, where did Grady Jarrett go? Last year, as a run defender, really took a step up. Again, you look at him being able to shut off blocks and make plays. Definitely a big part of his game last year. Again, there was a lot of good things you saw out of that Bears defense last year. Partly because of the fact that again, most of the big runs that were against them weren't because the D line was kind of getting absolutely roasted, which is good. Again, you look at his pass rush production; it's been I don't want to say precipitous, but it has been. He hasn't really been an effective pass rusher in a couple of years now, and the pressure rate really indicated that last year. But I don't really care, again, as long as he's still a good run defender and can, again, get Gervon Dexter to actually, not get out leverage, that would be great. Gervon Dexter's obviously their interior pressure guy. He was, I think, honestly, other than Montez Sweat, actually led them in pressures last year. Biggest thing you look at with Gervon Dexter is he is a guy that has to win inside. Again, as a 3-tech, look at how he's going to play. He's going to try to twitch you outside, get that first cross down, or, again, that swim up. If he's able to get around you like that, he's always going to at least get some sort of influence in the interior of the pocket, and that makes it really hard, especially with the quarterback's footworks, for, again, a quarterback to be able to throw effectively when he's, again, getting that sort of pressure. Still, though, times with Gervon, he's not able to get on the interior, and he doesn't really have a good, again, counter-effective move to get around that. And when that happens, it's just like kind of a stall in terms of the pressure. But he usually is able to get that inside. I would like to see kind of another move he puts into his game, because if that happens, that elite inside pressure is going to become a more constant and much more reliable move. Again, with that second move playing off of it. Neville Gallimore, he is, again, just a big kind of tub of lard, but it's not easy to move lard, so tell you that. Shamar Turner, I'm actually kind of shocked he's still on this team, but he is. Contavious Street used to be a good player, not anymore. And you also have James Lynch. Again, it's a decent group, but overall, it's just like you get, again, a vet Grady Jarrett who's going to be, again, pretty damn good against the run. Gervon Dexter, who's a very real interior threat. And then two backup guys that, I mean, if you have to put them out there, you're not going to really be too concerned about. Obviously, you have the edge of Montez Sweat, who's their number one dude. Montez Sweat had a bounce-back season with 10 sacks last year after an atrocious 2024, where I think he might have had, like, 2 games where he was actually taking things over. Last year, though, 10 sacks, again, great, but his pressure rate was way up. And just, again, his first step, he was winning very consistently with that. Again, when that's happening, he's a guy that, again, is a true I can carry your team sort of guy, which is what we saw in 2023. So, Montez Sweat getting back to that is huge. His production, at least sack-wise, in terms of pressures as well, never going to be a top league, but he is a number 1 alpha when he's really going. You also have Deo Odeyingbo, who last year was absolutely atrocious. He only played 8 games, but he was absolutely abysmal. He obviously that breakout 2023 season where I think he was 3rd in the league in pressure rate. Not qualifying, but still 3rd in the league in pressure rate. And again, you look at him, he's another twitchy sort of athlete, but you've always saw his game predicated on that power instinct, and when that wasn't really much of it in his game last year, it was really hard to watch because he wasn't even like effective against the run most of the time. But same time, he'll always be a good run defender, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, Deo, he's going to need a big bounce back season this year. Then you also Jeremiah Martin, who, in my opinion, is just not really a real person. I've never really heard of him either. I'm not going to lie to you guys, like, who the hell is this dude? Anyways, you also have Austin Booker, who has played for sure in his career. He actually had 4.5 sacks last year, which I'm kind of surprised by. I thought he only had 3, but I guess I'm wrong. Definitely a good uptick in his play last year. Obviously, the injury was the big issue. But he's a guy that isn't as... His bend isn't really there, but you get good... consistency with him as a run defender because of the fact that he's very gap sound, on top of the fact that you are going to get good lateral movement with him. So those sort of things playing off each other are big sort of facets of his game. Again, he's definitely a good number 3. And then you also have Daniel Hardy, who I guess is just there. But honestly, guys, this pass rush, again, as always, has absolutely no depth. You got a really good guy in the interior in Gerwin Dexter. You have a really good guy on the outside in Montez Sweat. But then you got David Mills coming off the worst year of his career. Austin Booker is looking up for sure. But for me, this pass rush is going to get a B- because of the unsustainability. For the actual D-line itself, it's obviously going to be a B+. It's a good group, to be honest with you guys. Because, yeah. Do I give it a B+? Yeah, I'm going to give it a B+. I don't care. Pass rush, though, is definitely going to be a B-. Again, you still have legit number 1 guys in there. It's just there's no depth. Which, again, it's, to some extent is a big issue, but again, in other ways, I'm like, who really cares? I think I can give the D-line, though, a B+, because, again, at the end of the day, this is going to be a really good run defending unit. And even as a pass rush, it's like, there's good things going on there. Let's get into the secondary. Okay, let's get into the secondary, and it is a group that is going to be really fun to watch next year. You have a mixture of busts, a mixture of what am I watching, a mixture of, yeah, this group is going to be crazy. First off, Jalen Johnson is probably the 3rd or 2nd best cornerback in football, pound for pound. He got injured last year. Definitely something to note there. I forgot exactly what the injury was. Jalen Johnson injury. I think it was ACL. Groin muscle. That's great. No, Jalen Johnson's legitimately one of the best cornerbacks in football, though. 2023 was his elite year. He was literally the best guy in second DB in football, and again, it's not really that debatable. 2024 kind of took a drop off, but still was elite, at least production-wise, it was at least justifiably elite. And then last year when he was on the field, he was absolutely bonkers. So, yeah, Jalen Johnson, you don't throw the ball near him. He's just a guy, at least athletically, he's very, very hard to get off of. And again, in zone coverage, he just completely takes up the entire boundary side, as well in man coverage. He gives up one of the lower separation rates in the league, on top of the fact that his just straight, again, hip fluidity and movements, and again, really just getting out of breaks is, again, second to none in football. Still, though, Jalen Johnson has his issues. He isn't always great in terms of out of the break, getting to the ball. But that's really his only issue. Jalen Jones, really good guy here. I don't know really I don't know what's going on here. Jalen Jones is a good player. For depth, though. You don't want him to field consistently. Terrell Smith, he's played in the past, too. Same thing with Dallas Flowers. You don't want him to field often, but those guys have played in the NFL for sure. Tyreek Stevenson's getting a chance to start. Last year, he kind of, I guess, turned his season around. He was, again, absolutely atrocious in 2024. After, again, a very crazy rookie season where he was, like, legitimately, like, bullying guys. Last year kind of got back to that same moxie, but it was a lot more conservative. In zone coverage, he was actually useful, too, which was good to see, and his penalties went down a lot. Still, though, we need to see a more consistent Tyreek Stevenson to really think he can be a, sustainable guy in this defense. Malik Muhammad should get a chance to play a lot. He's definitely the 4th best cornerback on this roster, at least in terms of talent. He had a lot of good exposure there at Texas, and he is a guy you look at to be a very big reactive corner, which isn't always the greatest things when you look at guys, but again, there's definitely certain spots where you want a guy like that. He is definitely going to be able to do that in this defense. And Kyler Gordon turned himself into a guy that was kind of a volume volume tackle merchant who's going to make plays, into an actual, like, down effective nickel back. But still, at the same time, you look at him as, like, kind of I'm going to say he's going to get beat to a pulp during the season, and he's going to do well with it. Obviously not an elite player because, again, he gets up a lot of big plays, but at the same time, you're still getting a guy that's going to be very productive for you. This cornerback room for me is still, again, very high ceiling for sure. I'm going to give them a B+. The reason it's not towards the A tier is because Tyreek Stevenson still hasn't really gotten back to that rookie year on a consistent level, and Kyler Gordon, again, he's not, again, like this, sort of dude. And then, again, the depth is good, though. So, again, Blackwell, another guy, he can play. It's just, for me, again, I can't really put in that A tier because, again, it's really just Jalen Johnson, the only surefire dude. I want to give him the A tier, but I'm going to say 18 points there. Now, this safety room, which got a huge boost with Dylan Thianemi coming in, because he's literally a true boundary free safety. The fact they're using him as a, again, first round pick, obviously, for them, but, again, they're kind of trying to use him as a true strong safety in some instances. It's going to be very interesting to watch. As a run defender, can obviously hold his own. But there are certain downfield blocking wings that will definitely make it hard for him to, kind of get used to what's going on. But again, the coverage at strong safety is sky high. Cam Lewis and Giovanni Owens are just like, I guess, bro. And Elijah Hicks, another guy that has not played very well. Cam Lewis is probably the guy I think to step up, but none of these guys are really confident at all. Then obviously Kobe Bryant with the best year of his career last year. They bring him from Seattle. He got a massive contract. Expect him to be a very big part of this defense and probably their true, again, center fielder. Biggest thing with him, though, is you do want him in the slot more often than not, again, in the high-stress situations because he's a guy that can lock up those speedy slots. But still, he's not a guy I really want to see in the open field too often either, which is going to be weird. But again, they're going to figure that out. Very, very fun safety duo there. I'm going to give it a B+. Again, despite no depth, it's going to be a very fun group to watch. 27 points, add that up for the entire defense. 24, 18, 28, 18, and 27. That's going to give them 115 points for this defense. That will put them in the B-, which is probably where they belong. They have some really freaking good players. It's just the fact that I don't really think there's... again, it's not the most well-rounded defense either. Again, that's not really the way to put it. There's no depth. Bam. That's what I was thinking of. But anyways, let's get into this team depth, because that could definitely be telling of what's going to go on with this team this year. And before that depth, let's look at the kicking situation for the Bears, which has been a constant for them after being a complete nightmare after that 2018 Cody Parkey thing. But anyways, yeah, he got signed by the Bears to be their kicker in 2020. He had a 94% field goal percentage. Went off. Technically, the past years he's kind of been ass, but it really doesn't matter. He's got a good leg. And you just look at a guy like Carlos Santos to be your number one kicker. Not number one kicker. He is your kicker. He's been this team for 6 years, though. Or 7 seasons. Doesn't matter. He's good. Toro Taylor, great punter. Hasn't really been as good in the league, though, to be honest with you guys, as he was in college. Kind of, disappointing in that. But he still has an absolute freaking bomb for a leg. Xavier Thomas is going to be their kicker returner. I kind of forgot he's fast. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. But, yeah, I guess that's what they're going to do there. Cleve Raymond, obviously, an electric punt returner. Then Luke Elkin is their long snapper. Never heard of this dude, though, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, he's out of Iowa. Should be pretty good. For me, though, the special teams unit's going to get a C+. I just think there's a lot of risk going on there, and just the fact that Carlos Santos didn't really have the greatest year last year is a little bit of a mess for me, but again, he's obviously been very good throughout his career. So his tenure in Chicago. 6 points there. Quarterback depth, as we get into the team depth, is a B+. Running back depth, I give a B+ as well. Receiver depth, I give a D, which is going to be probably down to a C+ so far. Tight end depth, I'd give an A. We're probably up to a B- now. O-line depth, I'd probably give a D+ too. So that's probably going to, if we're going to say a D+, what is that going to be? Or no, that's kind of mean. C-, we're probably at a C+ still. D-line depth, well, we'll say D-tackle depth is probably a C+, so we're just going to still show a C+. Edge rusher depth is probably like a C-. That might be nice. Again, they literally just have 3 dudes, so this is tough. I'm going to say a D+. So we're probably down to a C. Linebacker depth, I'd give a B, so I'll just say we're back up to a B+. Cornerback depth, I'd give a B, which we're probably up to a B-. And then safety depth, I'd probably give an F, so I'm just going to say we're showing the C+. Some positions are worse than others, but overall, again, it's not the worst team in terms of depth. But like I said, it's definitely a glorified weakness of theirs. There we go. Identity of this Bears team. Ben Johnson, again, he wrote the ship last year. I think we can all say that. But the problem is, their schedule is going to be really freaking hard this year. As much as I don't think it's that bad, again, it's going to be tough. Caleb needs to be more consistent, too, and that's just not something I really see him doing, again, really fully this year. And with that being, again, a factor, and I don't really think this team getting off to, again, a 9-3 start this year, just all those things kind of accumulating, it's going to be hard for me to really see this team, taking a step up from where they were last year, because they got pretty damn high, again, on the totem pole last year, guys. So, for me, I like where things are going. It's a good vibe, but I'm going to say a B-, because the fact that, again, it's just, they're very high expectations, and I don't really know if this team's ready to get to that point yet. Or, again, with the bar where they want to, clear. So, that's what I'll say there. If we're going to add up all these points, though, 122 plus 115 plus 6 plus 24, probably just done 30. Plus 35 is going to be 302 points. Not a bad grade at all. That's going to put them in the B+ tier. No, B tier. Honestly, that's where they belong. This roster overall has, again, their hollow moments because of the fact there's really not, again, in certain spots, really a dude. Still, though, defensively, there's really no weakness. Again, I think there's a little bit of hollowing out, though, in that group for sure. Again, you're playing a dangerous game if Deo Odiengbo gets injured again, or if Montez Sweat gets injured, which means you guys are cooked. So, keeping that in mind, there's definitely some things that are constringent with them. But other than that, guys, again, I think Caleb Williams can find himself a consistent play style. There's really no reason this team can't get back to the playoffs. It's just the fact that it's going to be tough to do so with their schedule, and also the fact that They made it to the divisional round last year, guys. You can't really say that every year. So keep that in mind. Bears fans that have tempered expectations. Still a solid roster, though. That's what I got for them. And yeah, here's this next team.
Extra man on the rush. Passes downfield and caught. Tate. Touchdown. Just absolutely took it away from LeBlanc. Touchdown. Golden Tate, the ex-Philadelphia Eagle, just fought for this.
Yeah, a lot of grabbing going on too. He just was able to fight through it, but he had all this field to work. See, the safety's going to work over the top this way. And so there's just all that room then for Daniel Jones. He just...